Hey YouTube, what's happening? Chris here. Want to bring you guys a little update on Litecoin. I know we've been talking about it for the last few days. It's been leading the market, so we're going to keep our eye on it. There's obviously a lot of potential around it, things like that. We're really going to dig into it today, guys. We're going to be starting out on the 4-hour chart, then we're probably going to pull back and we're going to look at the 1-day chart. Right now, Litecoin's at $43.21. We're up we're up 2.69%. If you guys could like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, trying for 100 likes on this video. You guys have been killing it for me, and I'm greatly appreciative, and we're just going to keep it rolling. Anytime I'm able to get these out for you, I'm going to do my best, guys. So what we've been looking at here is Litecoin on the 4-hour, and we see that it broke out of this wedge that I had drawn, guys. It was kind of like a falling wedge right up here. And one second, guys. There we go. All right. So I drew this wedge last night. So we took the bottom from the real bodies, we brought them down, took the top from the real bodies. What we were having was lower lows and lower highs here. And then we broke out. And we broke out on not the best volume. We did get a little bit of volume, but it wasn't the best looking volume. You would have wanted to stick, guys, seriously like this. Somewhere in this type of range right here if we're breaking up out of that, if we're going to make a serious move to try to get back up to this 46.72 and try to test that. And that didn't happen. The good thing is, though, we've been holding our moving averages. We've been holding the 20 EMA, we've been holding the 50 moving average, and we're also holding up above the 200-day moving average on the 4-hour chart here. You can see right there how price just been grinding along this 50 in blue. Like that. Now yesterday we were talking about this really long wick that came in. I'll get in a little bit closer for you. So do you see this wick? How out of these lines that I had drawn, we wicked out above it, and that was one of those fake outs. Then we pulled back. Then we ended up closing right here around the 20-day EMA. Right there. Then we broke out. And that's that break. Remember how we talked about trendline breaks, but with trendline breaks, we can have the break where we run all the way back up and we test this high. We can have the break where we come up to like where we're at here, and then we come back down and we test this in that range. That's another possibility. Or we could come up to where we hit this resistance here in red that I drew, and then we fall all the way back down and we make a lower low. This resistance in red right here where we have this shooting star candle as well, that's where we stopped this time on the 4-hour. We made this move up to that, and now we're just kind of traveling sideways. We're going to see what happens. We're going to see if this 20 EMA and this 50 moving average is going to be able to hold for us. If we're going to drop back down, we're going to test right in here. But it's nice to see that on the 4-hour, we're up above these moving averages. We haven't lost them yet on the 4-hour chart. So what you always want to do with the moving averages, you start at the 1-hour chart, and then I'd move out to the 4-hour chart, then I'd move out to the 8-hour chart, then the 12, then the 1 day. Now with you guys, we're just going to go over the 4-hour and the 1 day. But that's what I like to do and see if we're holding those moving averages. Remember, moving averages, we're going to treat them as support in that uptrend, and we're going to treat them as resistance in that downtrend. Always pay attention to that. They're very important, guys, this support and resistance. The more you read about them, the more you'll see that. So what we're going to do next now, we're going to look at the RSI, and our RSI is at 59, so that's a nice strong level, and what we had was a break. So this was the line I had on the RSI. You guys know how I like to draw trend lines on the RSI, and you know how I've been studying trend line breaks and how important they are. So what happened here with this trend line? We broke out and we moved to the upside, just like we talked about. Now, I'm using that fanning technique on trend lines, so the next one I'm looking at today is this white one here on the 4-hour. And I want to see what we do with that. So we're going to see if we come back down a little bit more and then attempt it again, or if we're just going to try to bust through it. We're going to really keep our eye on that, but we want the volume to start increasing. If we're going to have a move to the upside, you want to see that volume expand to the upside, so just start climbing like you saw here. When we were in that uptrend, you see how the bars just got higher there, and then as we went down, they started to drop off. So really keep your eye on that. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to back it out to the 1 day. We're going to take a look at this and see what's forming. Alright, so you can see the channel that I've had in here. Let me pull these lines off, guys. So the channel that I've drawn right there, and we're going off the real bodies. We've just been bouncing back and forth in here. We had this push down where we made it to around that $22, and then we pushed back up here. We had that gravestone doji, got pushed back down, and then we had a bullish engulfing candle that pushed us back up into a shooting star candle. Then we came back down and we just traveled sideways. came back up on very strong volume. That's the volume that we wanted to see, and we ran directly into that 200-day moving average as well as that upper trend line. Guys, I'm telling you, trend lines, they're so powerful. When trend lines break, it's so powerful. When they hold, it's so powerful. It's just something you really have to study into. Do your due diligence on trend lines. Like, I've tried to get some of you all started on it and interested in it, but you really have to take your studies far, because you could study for a year on just trend lines alone. So what I'm seeing from my eye here, guys, we're just doing this from my eye right here. Want to see this? So that's something we're going to want to see hold. You see how we're having higher lows right there. And then what you can also do is take a trend line on the top right in here, and then we can pay attention to this little channel that we're forming, right? And with our RSI at 63 on the day, it's pretty strong, guys, and we're starting to point north here a little bit. The only thing is, like I said, that volume, because it almost looks like it would be that bull flag to where we had that nice post, and then we started to come back down here. The post is on that good volume, and then the volume dries up, and then we blast back up. So we're going to have to keep our eye out on that, because this was basically a doji here, a spinning top candle that was put in, and then we started to move to the upside. We had our inverted hammer candle, and then today's close is going to be important. Are we going to get up above that overhead resistance there around 43.64? And that's where we saw resistance before, right back over here. And that's also coinciding with that 200-day moving average. So we're going to come back up, hit it again, bounce back down maybe to this trend line, and then try it? Or are we going to get through it this time? Is this going to be the time we get through this, close up above it, and also get above that trend line? The only reason why I'm thinking no, and we may have further pullback, guys, look at all this here. So we have the high here we'd have to get over. We'd have to get over the 200-day moving average. Then we have that upper trend line that's also coming down. And we haven't seen that strong a volume yet that we would want to see to make a move up through there. But we are holding the 20-day moving average, and we're also holding the 50-day moving average. And that's where, guys, you see where my alert is, that 39.26, right in that range. This is where I feel like we could pull back to still. I do feel like that, and that's just my opinion, guys. It's not financial advice. I'm just a more conservative trader. I don't want to chase anything. So I would see us pulling back maybe to around this $40, or potentially down here and test this 50 moving average down the road here in a few days. That's also along this trend line. That's a possibility, because we just hit up here, guys, and then working in this channel, we could be rejected here, come back down to this area, bounce off this with good volume, then maybe make it up out of there. But what I do like is that we've been forming higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. We move sideways, consolidated, higher high, higher low put in. Now let's see, are we going to get that higher high, or are we going to work in that equilibrium where we're just going back and forth till we decide to break down or break up? All right, so the next thing I want to look at is the MACD. We're going to look at the MACD, and we're going to look at Bollinger Bands. Just kind of digging in here, guys. All right, so the MACD's looking a little overextended here. You can see the histogram's ticking down, and if you want, you can draw a trend line on that right there. So that shows us we may have a further push to the downside, and also it looks like we're just kind of flattening out along here. Right here. And what we're looking for is either a pop up, or we're going to cross down over top of that signal line there in red. But they're just getting close to that kissing point, so we may move sideways for a while. That's a possibility. We had that big push up, guys. We had the bearish engulfing candle. We got pushed back down into that doji, and then we kind of just move sideways until we intersect with this 20-day or 200-day moving average and see what happens. But like I said, I don't believe we're going to be in that bull market for Litecoin until we get over that 200-day moving average, close above it with volume, with conviction, and also get above that upper trend line. That's what I need to see happen. And until then, I'm not going to be FOMOing. I feel like there still could be further downside, you know, in this down to around this area before we maybe get a potential bounce off that 20-day EMA. That's one of the most powerful indicators in cryptocurrency. I will continue to say that. It is very strong, and it's something that I pay attention to. Next thing we're going to go to is Bollinger Bands. Alright, so with the Bollinger Bands, we're up above the middle band, which is right down here. And that's where I said, guys, this area, the sweet spot, we got the middle band, we got the 20-day EMA, we got the 50 down in here, we got this lower trend line. We already touched up here. There's a lot to deal with up here. I just feel like we could maybe come down here and power back up and make another move. Maybe if we got down here, we could set one of those highs and then a higher low and then go for it. All right. But the Bollinger Bands are expanded, and they are expanded because of this move. Whenever the bands get tight, so you look for these tight times right in there, then you're waiting for the explosion. So when it gets tight like that, it can break to the upside or it can break to the downside. That's the power of the Bollinger Bands. And you can also see when you get overextended. Do you see here how these candles got out from this Bollinger Band? We got overextended and we got pushed back down. Same deal here when we got overextended and we got pushed down right into this area, then we started to move back up. Look at this. Gravestone Doji, we wicked out of it, got pushed back down to that middle band. So keep this in mind, guys. Really pay attention to these Bollinger Bands. I've looked to find more information on Bollinger Bands. I have the one book that has like 10 pages worth of stuff in it. I really wish there was more, but the creator, John Bollinger, I believe his first name's John, but I know it's Bollinger is his last name. He hasn't written too much on them himself in terms of writing books and things like that. Next thing we're going to check out quick is the stock RSI, and then I'm going to have to run, guys. Alright, so stock RSI, we're looking to get a little cross down here, which is good. And also we've been having those higher lows on the stock RSI. So you can treat these too, like those moving averages and everything else. Do you see that? So you can draw trend lines, is what I like to do. And then I'll also put like support and resistance lines on here. So right there. Look, guys. Look, each time we've gotten up to that, we've hit that, fallen down, hit that, fallen down, didn't make it there, hit that again, fell down. So now let's see what happens, because we're going to be working in this area, and it's either going to be a break up or it's going to be a breakdown. And that's at 42, 43 right now. So just kind of even there, just neutral, just rolling neutral. We want to stay up above that 40. It's very important that we don't drop below that 40. So going to keep our eyes on that. But right now, guys, Litecoin's at $43.27. It's up 2.83%. Like I said, I'm not FOMOing into anything. There's a lot of overhead resistance areas right around here. I would be looking for an entry more so down around this area, but that's just me. And anything can change, guys. You know, in a matter of an hour, things can change. But this is the channel that I'm looking at. If we step back, and you can kind of see here what we're running into. And it's always nice to step back as well, guys, so you can see the channel that we're in, just like that. And you see this swooping down into here. So this area is a lot of overhead resistance, right? We have that red overhead support, we have the 200-day moving average, and we have this trend line right there. And then obviously, guys, if we are able to get up above this $46 or so, we most likely could run up and test right around this $55. That's a great possibility because of how far we fell right there. And if you throw a Fibonacci on this, you can look at that. The reaction that we had is so beautiful. It was a nice strong reaction. You can see the volume that came in right here. We got up above the 0.618, which in a lot of other cases we have not gotten above that on Bitcoin and other reactions that we had after a big fall like this. So that's something that we really want to see, and that's important. So like I said, guys, you know, Litecoin's kind of leading the market here, and we're just going to have to see what happens. Could it go higher right now and we could blast through this whole area I was talking about? Absolutely, guys. That's why I said I'm never going to be a master at this, is because things can change so fast. You can study stuff textbook-wise and say, oh, this is great on paper and everything, and then this market can do something completely different. Like I said, it can look just like a bull flag in an actual textbook, and all of a sudden it turns into a BART pattern that besides cryptocurrency, people haven't really seen too much before, because this market is just crazy. But that's the beauty of it, and that's why we're in it. So God bless each and every one of you. Take care. If I can get another video out today, if I get a second, I would love to do that. But I just don't know if I'm going to be able to do it or not, guys. Very busy day today. So God bless each and every one of you. Leave it down low. Thank you for the like, subscribe, notification bell, all that type of stuff. I appreciate each and every one of you. Be safe tonight.